A lot of bad advice out there about gambling, from secret methods to picking lottery numbers to betting big when you're on a roll. The miss can lose money and you get in a lot of trouble. So before you wager, find out what's real and what isn't at keepitfunohio.com. In the end, it goes about 40 minutes, which is kind of where we thought it would be, somewhere in that vicinity. It was 40 minutes of questioning, largely to Andrew Berry, then to Deshaun Watson, and then Kevin Stefanski. Just a couple of opportunities to answer questions there. Obviously, the vast majority of those questions were about the pending civil litigation with Deshaun Watson and where all of that stands, and much of it dealt with the process that the Browns went through before acquiring Deshaun Watson. And look, there's the one thing I would say is it's been laid out there for you, and it's just you're going to believe what you want. Is where it is, and an exhaustive process getting to the point of acquiring Deshaun Watson from an organizational standpoint where you felt good about it. I was actually a little bit Deshaun was very forthcoming and very strong in his position and his innocence, and was reiterated that time and time again throughout the press conference, despite various questions about it. I wasn't for sure that we'd be able to answer all of that stuff with pending litigation, but he was, and he was pretty straightforward with it. You can't be more direct than he was.
So Andrew Berry laid out at the beginning a lot of the things that I kind of laid out for everybody on Monday's show about the thoroughness of the Browns investigation, the independent law enforcement, independent third-party attorneys, all of these who were looking into this for the Browns to the point where they could get comfortable with it. You've had two grand juries now who have declined to even allow this to go to a trial, to bring indictments to have this go to a trial with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson sat up there today and said, I am innocent. I have done nothing wrong. These, in regards to these allegations, they are not true. And that is his position right now. The Browns have gotten very comfortable to make a $250 million investment in Deshaun Watson, the person, after doing all of the investigation that they've done and the information that they have gathered. So he to your point, very strong about it, very candid about it. People said, do you need to go? I don't. Do you have regrets? I don't. I didn't do what they're saying I did, and I am going to fight to clear my name. And so what we are left with right now are civil allegations, the outcomes of which would involve financial compensation, not illegality.
Correct.
And so Deshaun Watson could settle if he wanted to. He just got $230 million guaranteed. He does not want to do that. He wants to fight for it. I think that it is interesting. Again, I understand why this is a very sensitive topic. And I have people who are out. I understand where you're coming from because you believe that what Deshaun Watson just said isn't true. And right now we're in a situation where Deshaun Watson says that he's innocent, and there are 22 allegations against him that say he is not innocent of something because it's not criminal at this point. We can rule that right on out. As we sit today. Now, maybe there are more grand juries that are brought into this as things go on. I don't know the answer to that.
No,
but
we don't.
As we sit here today, 10 different charges have been brought to a grand jury, 0 indictments. 22 civil cases out there where they're alleging one thing, and right now he's saying, I'm innocent. I did not do that. I will tell you, this is my personal experience. I got a chance to talk to Deshaun Watson yesterday. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I sat down with him, and I sat across from him, and a lot of the things you heard him say today, he said to me. And when you're around him, he seems very sincere in what he is saying. Now, the process will play itself out, and we will ultimately get the answers to this on some level, I suppose. As we also know, in a civil proceeding, the bar in terms to award something is significantly lower than it is in a criminal. Criminal's got to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Correct.
This is 51%, is it in a civil. So we'll see how this plays out. He clearly is steadfast in his belief that he did nothing wrong. He leans on his upbringing with the fact that he was, raised by a single mom to not be disrespectful to women. I know he was, and this is not a whataboutism, but this is somebody who has been incredibly involved in the community and has done a lot of great things for a lot of people prior to this. That doesn't mean that he can't have done these things. What I'm saying is he is saying, I did not do those things, and I can't wait to prove this to all of you when I can and show you who I am. That's the big takeaway from this whole thing for me, is that Deshaun Watson went up there and said, I did not do these things. Period. And I will fight to clear my name.
There was a question late in the presser as well. That's it was one of the last 5 or 6 questions when they said, how does it make you feel that no one will ever believe you? I would imagine not good. And that's the reality of this situation. Is there were never going to be enough questions. There are never going to be enough answers to where certain people were going to co-sign this position.
Yep.
It just was not going to happen. So you can be as forthcoming as you want. I thought the Browns were incredibly forthcoming with answering every single question for 40 minutes, the majority of which had nothing to do with football. 90%, 95%. I think there are 2 or 3 questions football related. And I'm not criticizing that. I think that what happened is the way that it probably ought to go and probably needed to go. But at the same time, there almost is no way. This is the tricky part of this, because we are out of now that you're out of any criminal wrongdoing and you're in a civil situation, there is no way for it. The only people who truly know are him and the other woman in the room. That's it. I mean, that's in terms of that's it. So what proof? There's no way of proving beyond that.
Yep.
So you're just going to say it's his word, theirs, and at some point you move on and that's it. But there's really no way. There's nothing that gets said down there that changes that part of it. People are already locked in. So it's just a matter of, do you believe him? I'll reiterate what I said previously. I was not expecting him to be that direct.
Nor was I.
With civil cases still out there. And you could not have been more straightforward or more direct than he was.
Right. I did nothing wrong. I mean, he said it, I think, 6 different times.
It was
said
to various different questions.
On 4 different occasions, said, I will not settle. I am going to fight to clear my name. He was asked a question by Tom Withers. Well, what do you think about the fact that some people are never going to believe you? He can't, and he said, I'm just going to move on. I can't control. What I am going to do is come in here. I'm going to fight to clear my name. I'm going to be a pillar of this community. I'm going to continue to do the things I've done with Habitat for Humanity, with children's cancer, all the good things he's done. People, you can look, these are verifiable things. You can look up all the things he's done. He was a beneficiary, as he told me yesterday, from Warwick Dunn's work with Habitat for Humanity. He was a direct beneficiary of that.
Yeah, Warwick Dunn, his mother was killed for those who don't know, Warwick Dunn's mother was killed in the line of duty. She was a cop in Louisiana, New Orleans, and was killed in the line of duty. And Warwick Dunn, his charity, and it's absurdly, you can't even wrap your mind around the impact this has had, was he built homes for kids who lost family members and all over the South. I mean, this is all over the South. And one of the people who lived in one of those homes was Deshaun Watson.
And so he has taken that charge up and continued to do the same thing in the Houston area, and I imagine he will be bringing that to the Cleveland area as well. This is, when you come out of it, we expected it to be uncomfortable. It was. I thought there were very good questions asked. I thought there were very good answers given. I think that on some things, I think if you went into it with one kind of preconceived notion, I imagine you probably came out of it feeling exactly the same as you went into it.
That was the point I was making. Like there's really nothing that can be said.
Him saying I'm innocent was
right, but
is strong.
It's still, for the people who
Sure.
feel that he is not, there's probably no way to convince otherwise. There's nothing that he could say to make you believe otherwise.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. I mean, you're kind of at a stalemate when it comes to that. That won't happen. Now, again, this was a 40-some minute press conference there, and it was almost vast majority was about the background, about his behavior, what led to the allegations, and all of that. There was very little about the football side of it. Again, not saying that there should have been, but there will be a time when that is the case. Like, this can't be something that is litigated every time that he's in front of a microphone for the rest of his career.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know this is a very difficult situation. I've spoken with a lot of the women in our organization about this directly. My wife is in this organization.
Yeah.
And it's something that's going to take time. And I think that in addition to his strong declaration of his innocence, I think the biggest thing to take away from him personally is that he, despite the fact that he said, I know I didn't do these things. Those are Deshaun Watson's words. He said, I'm going to earn the trust of this community and become as involved as I can. I think it was Mary Kay who asked the question, are you going to be involved with women's-oriented charities? And he said, when I earn that trust. And so it's his goal to show people who he really is. I think that was the other thing. You cannot minimize the massive impact of these 22 civil allegations in terms of his reputation and how people perceive him as a person. Prior to these, it was a sterling reputation.
Yeah.
It is not anymore. And his goal, and I think the reason that he wants to fight so hard for it, is he's going to fight to clear his name, to prove to these people that that is not who he was, and to make good on what he has always valued in the community. Again, I understand this is a tough situation, and anybody who is still uncomfortable,
I get that.
I get it. Not questioning that at all.
Yeah.
At all. It is something that is going to take time. As they say, when there are allegations this serious in nature, one of the things, though, the word trust, it is gained in drops and lost in buckets. Mm-hmm. And there are people who are going to feel that because of the number of allegations that there is a presumed guilt with that, who have said they have no trust right now in him. And so, yes, he came out and he said what he said, but to them, they don't believe that. There are going to be others who say, I do believe that, and say, okay, there haven't been criminal charges. Grand juries didn't even feel the need to have a trial on those 10 that were brought before them, and that he said, I am innocent, and I'll give him the due process to be proven that he is correct or that he is not correct. And that's where we stand. So we're still in a holding pattern from that standpoint, but this is the strong. The guy hasn't talked.
No.
And he came out and said today, as he did after, the first grand jury made a statement, but he maintains his innocence.
Yeah, and I think for, I just don't know what – I think for some, barring him – like barring an admission of guilt, there was no way for him to – in some way there was no way for him to be cleared in some people's mind. It just feels like that's kind of where we are. I mean, this is directly from Deshaun Watson. I don't have any regrets. The things that are off the field right now that came up caught me by surprise because I never did anything these people are alleging.
Yep.
And he reiterated that several times. And it's, now that's where he stands on this thing. And so that's it. There isn't a whole lot more you can do. And if you were wanting more from him on that, then I don't know how much more direct you can be. You may not like the answer, and that's fine, but that's how he feels. And that's where he believes he is. And that's the way that he's going to continue to fight this thing. He said it.
And clearly, through the work that the Browns did, they felt comfortable enough to make this decision. And you guys all know, you looked out there, you saw Andrew Berry, you saw Kevin Stefanski with Deshaun Watson. These are people, especially in the case of Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, that I have known for a very, very long time. And these are people who I personally do not believe would hitch their careers to somebody that they felt was going to let them down or be proven to be other than what they are telling them that they are.
Andrew Berry and Paul DePodesta were not acting from a position of desperation. They have incredibly strong footing in this organization. Incredibly strong. To your point, they did not have to take a big gamble unless they didn't feel like it was one based on the information they had.
Correct.
And that's the thing that I think you have to remember here. That this is not – they felt very strongly in Deshaun Watson.
They did, and I think that this press conference, this is 100% my opinion. Let me just state that first. I think that this press conference and what was said and how it is received is more important locally here in the market in which he is going to be playing, in the market in which he is going to have to be involved in this community, and in the market where he needs to be the most accepted than it is where you have people who don't have the emotional interest and investment in it the same way that the local people do. And so I'm sure I'm going to be out about town this weekend. And I'm sure I'm going to get to hear from people. On Twitter. Please feel free to hit me up. I want to know how people feel about this and what they think about it and what they heard and how that makes them feel. I think that this is something that I hope nobody expected this to be resolved today, where they're like, okay, now we're this,
right.
or now I'm all in, now I'm all out. There is nuance, but I do think that you heard a person who, again, seemed sincere, seemed very sincere. He talked to me, but this will be resolved. He said, I think 4 times, I'm not settling this.
Yeah.
Because I think in his mind, settling it is some type of an admission that he did something wrong. And he is steadfast in his belief that he did not.
Yeah, you couldn't be more direct than Deshaun Watson was
No.
today. Coming up at 3 o'clock, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, our owners, will meet with the media. That will be conducted via Zoom. You will have that in the next level. We'll have that press conference coming for you in a little more than an hour from now. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Your business is shopping for an enterprise operating system, but you don't know where to begin. Beau here for my friends at EOX Vantage. They're data scientists who also are business operations experts. Your EOX Vantage team not only builds and installs your system, they act as your ongoing tech support. So you're hiring a continuous improvement and support system. EOX Vantage is not tied to any single brand or hardware or software. So you're getting a truly customized, purpose-built solution along with a partner that answers only to you. And EOX Vantage does not outsource. All the operational expertise, proprietary solutions, and tech support come from one unified partner. You can see how companies have profited from hiring one fully objective operating systems partner at eoxvantage.com. You know, one thing that appears to be getting a lot of attention, I just think logistically there's some important things to go over in terms of how an organization works. And, you know, we had a 40-minute press conference about what went into this acquisition.
Sure.
You and I then did 20 minutes dissecting that. Just in terms of football ops, the way it works. So I think one thing that's being misconstrued is that this is a process that is 5 months long, and it was a process for 5 months to acquire Deshaun Watson. What Andrew Berry said is that at that time, after the trade deadline, that is when the work on the new year and the offseason hits.
Thank you for saying this. I was going to say this as well.
So it's just like the notion that all of a sudden it was October and they're like all hands on deck on Deshaun Watson. No, that is when the planning for the offseason begins and what that offseason will look like. So that is, how do we improve this team in the short term? How do we build this team in the long term? How do we make sure we have financial flexibility where we need it when contracts are due for players currently on our roster and players who we will want on our roster? It is at that time that you start to lay the groundwork for your offseason. If you go back to the reporting that was done on Monday from Andrew Breer, Jason Lloyd, the work on Deshaun Watson really ramped up in January, not October. It was January. Watson was somebody that the entire league knew was going to be available via trade. He was almost traded at the deadline to Miami. He was nearly traded then.
Yep.
So everybody in the league, except for about 4 teams, did work on Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So the notion that it was in October that Andrew Berry's like, we're off of Baker, we're done with that, is nonsensical. That is not the way that these things operate.
No.
And it is something that has been completely misconstrued by several.
And the fact that that's the conclusion that you would jump to, I don't quite understand. So Andrew Berry has said at the Combine every year since he's been the general manager that the offseason planning, every year they look at their team as though they are an expansion team and try to figure out the best way to improve their roster. And so that would be a comprehensive and exhaustive search of every position. Can we get better here? That's any organization. The Browns aren't the only team that starts to think about the next season in their pro personnel departments after the trade deadline in November. They're not
Right.
the only ones. Every team
They
does
all
that.
do it.
They all do it.
That's the calendar of it.
That's how it works. So to say that, oh, it's 5 months meant that they were out on Baker. They do this at every position, and then oftentimes, and they do this every year. The people come back. It wasn't that they were done with somebody. It is, can we improve our roster? Eric Metcalf had a tweet, I think about a week ago. He goes, every year the Browns brought in running backs to replace me, but no one could do what I did, so I made it hard for them to get rid of me. The NFL is a business. If an organization is not trying to get better at each position, then they're not doing their job. That is the portion of the year where you look at your roster and say, how can we get better? That's what every team does. And you explore all opportunities. And then the Browns were very upfront at the Combine with Baker's agent and said, if we have the chance to go for a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson, what we consider an elite tier quarterback, we're going to do it. And then they did it. So this wasn't some grand plan. Now, there are going to be people, and maybe after the season, when it got to a point and things got the way that they did, and it felt almost like both sides were done with each other, that perhaps they were done with Baker Mayfield at that point. But this wasn't something, don't read into that and have that the narrative that the Browns decided they were done with Baker Mayfield in October of last year. That's not true. That's not true. That is factually incorrect.
No, and I think
that's not scores, that's a fact.
That's fact. And I think that's something that has been I don't know how that message is being delivered that way, because it couldn't be more direct. If you just listen to Andrew Berry, you read the reporting on it, there's a direct line for how this went. The timeline is readily available for how this process went. And that, the notion that the Browns were out on Baker Mayfield in October is not accurate.
Correct. And here's something that I want people to think about. So Deshaun Watson basically got a massive contract extension from the Browns, and his first year salary is at the league minimum. The Browns did that with Myles Garrett. The Browns did that with John Johnson III. The Browns did that with Nick Chubb. They did that with Wyatt Teller in their extensions. So this is not a surprise that the Browns structured this contract this way. That is how they structured their other contracts, and he said that. Now, people could go, this is available information to you. Go look at SpotTrack. Go look at Over the Cap, and you can go in there and look at it. Here's from SpotTrack. They tweeted this out. Base salaries of the large new NFL contracts in year one. You guys ready? Tyreek Hill, $1 million. Mike Williams, $1 million. Aaron Rodgers, $1.1 million. Von Miller, $1.1 million. Chris Godwin, $1.25 million. Matt Stafford, $1.5 million. Devontae Adams is at $3.5. That's a big one. Christian Kirk, who signed that big deal, $1.5. So the Browns are not the only team that structured one. And just from a quarterback standpoint, Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers got the exact same thing. So this was not done to try to circumvent a financial issue for Deshaun Watson. That's how these contracts are done, because you make the low salary the first year so that you can maintain a reasonable cap hit in year one. You spread the bonus out, and the likelihood would be that in 3 years you're going to do this again and do the same thing and push it down again to maintain flexibility. This is not.
We just talked to Joel Corey about this.
This is not unusual. So I don't know why people are suggesting that this is unusual and that the Browns did this in this one case. They have done it with many, many, many other of their own contracts, and all the big contracts that have just been signed in the NFL did the exact same thing.
Yes. It's almost like that game of telephone where it's told, and then by the time it's done, it's a different message. That's kind of how that you'd say something long enough, and eventually it becomes truth. That's kind of the way that seems. If you just went over 7 contracts that were all done the same way.
Yes.
So, and it got brought up in the press conference.
It did.
And AB said, like, it's not the NFL should probably, that's a question for the NFL. Like, the NFL probably needs to start looking into how teams are circumventing the salary cap.
Yeah, but that's not, to his point, that's not a question for him.
No, he's playing the game. I mean, that's.
Yeah. So.
I can't fault him for that.
No, I mean, it's pretty straightforward how this process went, how you got to this point, and now it'll go from here. And the next time you'll see Deshaun Watson address the media will be at minicamp, probably somewhere in there will be the next time. It's amazing because we were talking before the press conference started about the layers to it. Obviously, and I get it, justifiably. That one was about what made you so confident to make this decision and to make this trade. But there is a separate football press conference. There is a separate Houston Texans press conference for Deshaun. I think Tony asked him the question about, why did you demand the trade from Houston? And Deshaun said, well, this isn't probably the forum to get into that in terms of why that is, but he did have a couple of answers to that. There is a series of questions for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski about Baker and about the last year with Baker and how they got to the point to feel like that they needed to upgrade that position as part of something that we've been saying since, I don't know, the first show of the offseason, that the priority for this organization this offseason was to upgrade the passing game. I mean, we said it 1,000 times. Like, that was one. Second was 8th. The 8th was Jadeveon Clowney. Find a way to resign Jadeveon Clowney was 8th. 1 through 7 was upgrade the passing game.
Done. And he's done that every year. Year 1, upgrade the offensive line, the tight end, so that we could run this offense. Year 2, upgrade the defense. Year 3, upgrade the passing game. Deshaun Watson. We got Amari Cooper, too, in what turned out to be a great deal relative to what all the other receivers' deals have been. And I'm not saying that he was on the level of a Tyreek Hill or a Devontae Adams, but his production certainly is not on that level, but a very, very good number 1 receiver, and we're paying him significantly less and gave up significantly less. And that's not even being talked about because obviously Deshaun Watson is the big move, but this is an incredible thing. And I want to just go one more time so people can understand. So I'm going to give you specific numbers for Browns contracts, negotiated and extensions that have been done, and what their salaries were in the first year, okay? Deshaun Watson, $1.03 million. Myles Garrett, first year, $1.03 million. Amari Cooper, first year, $1.1 million. Wyatt Teller, just last year, $1.5 million. Nick Chubb, $1.2 million. Our 5 biggest contracts that we have done, and I guarantee when we do a Denzel Ward extension, it'll be the same way. All are within 1.03 to 1.5 million. 5 of them on our roster. No questions about the other ones.
Yeah.
Only a question about this one. It's how they do their contracts.
I just don't think a lot of people are even aware of that stuff. So we're making them aware of it.
Because there's a narrative that it was done in order to protect him financially from suspension. When it's done because that's the most effective way to maintain your salary cap flexibility in the first year of signing somebody to a new deal like that.
Yeah. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Side, certainly chilly. Could be getting some snow this evening, fellas. A nice hot bath or shower would feel amazing. Why not transform your bathroom into a custom bath that'll feel like a spa? They're my friends at the Bath Authority, and they can make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is our premier bath and shower remodeler in the area. They have expert factory-trained installers, the largest selection of bath projects. They're all made in the United States. You can change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding, and you can do it in about a day. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep that heat in, tub-to-shower conversions. Simply put, superior products, expert installers. Give them a call now, $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That number is 216-220-8399, or go to thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. And remember, $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel at 216-220-8399. Tell them Beau sent you, and they will take care of you on that front. The next, I think most people think the next thing will be the trade of Baker Mayfield, but I think that's a little more complicated than that. And Ian Rappaport was on NFL Network here in the last 10 minutes and kind of addressed where the organization is with Baker and where we go from here.
I've seen some various reports about whether teams are not interested in Baker Mayfield, and the Panthers aren't interested. Seahawks. Does not seem like anyone's interested at this salary, and the at this salary part is key because Baker Mayfield is unlikely to be traded at $18 million. If the Browns are able to eat some money, if the agent and the new team can work it out and it comes up with some sort of answer to how to split or deal with Baker Mayfield's salary, then I believe he will be traded. I don't get the sense the Browns are going to release him, certainly not imminently, maybe never. And here's why. Again, Deshaun Watson may at some point be suspended. Baker Mayfield was a good enough quarterback to start for 4 years for the Cleveland Browns and would be their starting quarterback had they not traded for Deshaun Watson. So there is actually a scenario where the Browns do nothing. Deshaun Watson gets suspended and Baker Mayfield ends up starting. It's not great for anyone, but that is at least in the minds of the Cleveland Browns a possibility right now.
Rapp does a good job. That last part is wild.
I believe
and incorrect.
I believe there's a 0% chance of that happening.
Yes, I would agree.
Jacoby Brissett was brought here
to do if that happens. That's why he's
if
here.
Deshaun Watson gets suspended to be the Browns' starting quarterback.
Yeah,
yeah.
The I think that is the next thing that people will be looking for is the trade of Baker Mayfield. I don't know that that's something that is going to be imminent because my hunch is that I kind of feel like Garoppolo will have to go first. And there were reports yesterday that Trey Lance was assured by the 49ers that he's the starter this year in San Francisco. So that would lead you to believe that Garoppolo would go first. In my view, I think he would go before Baker. I mean, they both have shoulder injury.
Yes.
So
he's been in his last 2 full seasons taking the team to the Super Bowl and to the NFC Championship game.
Right. That's what I mean. I think he would have to go first, and then whatever's left would be.
Well, it feels like if Carolina's not interested in Baker, which has been reported, and Baker was not interested in Carolina, that Garoppolo. I don't see a scenario in which Garoppolo is traded to Seattle.
I see no scenario where he's traded to Seattle.
The only one that's
Carolina
left is
or bust. Yeah, unless there's, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Philly. Is there somebody we're not considering? Is there the Giants? Are there teams out there, specifically in the NFC, that maybe we don't think? I mean, Detroit. With Goff, are they crazy? I have no idea. Are they crazy about Goff? Like those are the next. That would be the next layers of this. From a quarterback-specific thing. Is there somebody out there who we're not considering? Certainly Carolina is the one that makes the most amount of sense.
It does. And I think then Seattle could make a lot of sense for Baker as they go currently with Drew Lock. This is something that, again, another thing that will have to play out, and we'll see how it ultimately does. It is going to be, for the Browns standpoint, they are – I think this is an important thing because that's a lot of money that you would be using to kind of fill out – the rest of your roster and be able to bring in, like, we still need the only starting position that we do not have is the defensive end opposite of Myles Garrett. Do you love where you're at defensive tackle right now? I don't know. I think that you wish you had one more dude in there, but you're set at linebacker. You're set on the back seven. You're probably still looking for a dime third safety right now with MJ Stewart
moving on
and Ronnie Harrison not coming back, at least at this juncture, who's a free agent. So, maybe Rich LeCount can be that guy, but I would imagine, right now I think we're probably likely to see more four-corner dime because Troy Hill can come and play and run support. You pick Greg and Troy inside, and you would have
Greedy and Denzel out.
Yeah. So that's probably where you're at right now. I think there are some people that they would be considering to bring into that room. There could be a draft pick as well, but that defensive end position is a big one. It's a massive one. You've got to have 3 guys that can get after it. You have to. And right now I don't know if we do.
No, and so there, you're at that lull thing that we've talked about in terms of where other deals, these secondary free agent deals, will be done around the league. There were a couple of deals that were done yesterday. The Packers signing, former Packers receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling going to Kansas City. As Tyreek Hill is out, so then Valdez-Scantling comes in Kansas City. James Washington to Dallas on a 1-year deal as well. So those things are out there and in a pretty good spot in terms of those things happening. There was a story out of Boston yesterday. Did you guys see this? So the guy, he's currently does the Bruins games on NESN and hosts like the Bruins stuff, but he's done Patriot games, he's done Red Sox games, Celtics games. Claims to be the only guy in Boston who's done play-by-play for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And reported yesterday that he wouldn't be surprised if Brady played this year in Miami.
Yeah.
Instead of Tampa.
Saw it.
And it happened yesterday around noon, and it never really took off. I noticed it this morning.
It did today. That's when I saw it today. Yeah.
He went on EEI.
Yeah.
And I guess tried to ignite this, and I have seen a lot of tweets from the Miami media and the Tampa Bay media going, this is not happening.
Well, I would say the same thing.
Openly campaigning for people to come to Tampa.
Well, to Miami, you mean? Tom is campaigning for people to come to Tampa. Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting thing though that you would say that, and I was reminded of the Vikings play-by-play guy who broke the Rodgers story last year in the draft. It wasn't somebody in Green Bay.
Yeah,
it was the Vikings play-by-play guy.
It was
probably through Vikings ownership because usually play-by-play guys have the years of ownership. And so that's usually how those things happen. I just was fascinated. My God, why did this not get more attention yesterday in the middle of the day?
Even today.
I didn't notice it until this morning.
It's leaked out a little bit more today, but it's still not anywhere close to what it should be, which leads me to believe that there's nothing there.
Yeah. Pode's in a fantastic hoodie.
Great. I love that.
I
haven't seen that. Where is that? I need that.
That's a nice lightweight.
Yeah.
Out of Pode's. I like that. I like a nice lightweight hoodie. Yeah, we had the hoops last night. Did you guys get into it? Did you guys watch the hoops last night?
No.
You didn't?
Not a great night.
Jeez, shameful. I was up till midnight. The games were amazing. All the games were great.
I know.
You either? You didn't watch Arizona?
Just
get
did,
slugged?
And it was so boring at the half, and then I was like, I'm out. They were getting stifled. It was
You didn't flip over to Duke? Trying to survive Texas Tech?
Miss Kay and I went, and we had a very nice dinner last night. It's her birthday weekend, so we did a little.
When is the actual birthday?
I mean, you had 4 great games last
Sunday.
night. 4 great games. There were 4 great games last night. All 4 were great. They all came down to the last 2 minutes.
How
Arizona
was
lost.
Officiating in Gonzaga because
it was terrible.
Gibbe's down to 1 team.
It was absolutely dreadful.
Left.
2 teams, but
St.
your
Peter's
top 2 are out. Beau's in the driver's seat right now. Nick's not looking.
Nick's
so bad
looking
either.
really good, and
By
I
the
said
way,
he
we
blew
mocked
it.
him yesterday.
I mocked him. I mean, I don't.
Purdue and Nova, baby, come on.
Yeah, I mean he's got Arkansas and Houston.
Yeah, you guys better back off.
Yeah, you're Houston. By the way, were you aware of this? Are you guys aware of this?
Best
The favorite right now is Houston.
Good.
The favorite to win the title.
I got him in my Final Four in my bracket.
Did you really, Nick? Even before the tournament, you had him in
Swear to you. Swear to you.
I believe you. You don't have to do that. I believe you. I trust. Take your word. Yeah, they're a squad, man. I mean, they suffocated Arizona. That was bully ball. Every time Arizona got close, they just took the ball.
I know, it was very sad.
Yeah, it was.
Zago.
Yeah.
I had an early morning. I had an airport.
I mean, the game started at 7. To be fair, Gibbe.
That's fine. I was at. I didn't.
You were in bed at 7.
Just so we're clear, I didn't leave here till 6:30.
Again, the games were at 7.
Went to dinner with the fam.
Arizona tipped at 10.
The daughter was leaving.
10:04 on Arizona. Yeah.
The one daughter was leaving for the weekend. Had to drop off at the airport at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I DVR'd Duke so I could watch the last 5 minutes. They're playing pretty well. I want to jinx it.
They got through a big hurdle because that
Yeah.
Texas Tech team's a full day. That is a full day of veterans, and
I don't know what to make of Arkansas.
it'll be
I
the
don't-
same. It'll be like the Texas Tech game, except they won't be quite as physical. But Duke will have with Banchero. Duke's got such tremendous advantage now. I mean, the idea that you could be looking at, that it's plausible that Coach K could have to play Carolina in the Final Four would be amazing. Like if that
I'm here
plays
for
out
it.
That
Make
way.
it happen.
But all four
that has
games
to
are great.
be all that CBS is rooting for
These
at
10
this
o'clock.
point.
They got to be very careful. They have to be. They are hoping for a Duke, and it can be Carolina would be ideal, but they're hoping for Duke in the biggest way, and that's the biggest ratings bonanza. Coach K in his last run. Then you're hoping for UCLA or North Carolina, but you'd prefer Carolina, even though they're the 8. Even Purdue with Ivy, who's a pro, he'll be in the top 3 in the draft out of Purdue, but they're not Carolina or UCLA. And then the other side, probably Villanova or Houston. From a brand standpoint, and then you got to have Kansas.
Yeah.
Kansas has to get out of that region. They have to. So
There's
that's
some sweating going on.
yeah. I mean, if you end up with an
Network,
Iowa
control.
State, Miami, or Providence in the Final Four against Houston, that's death. That's utter death. So
Yeah.
they can't have that.
They don't want that.
No.
By the way, let me just say 2 things. real
Sure.
quick. One, 10 o'clock start is absurd.
All right. I'm going
It
to give
is-
you a solution to this.
it
And
is
this isn't
absurd.
even hard.
'Kay.
This is a so they didn't have these games staggered enough. They're staggered
No,
20
they
minutes.
were both at the half at the
Yeah.
same time. That's
That
outrageous.
can't happen. They're staggered 20
That's
minutes.
when they lost me. They're both at the half.
It
at the
really
same
needs
time.
to be 40 or 30 minute staggers.
Yep.
30 minimum, probably 40 would be healthy, so you could have the last 10 minutes when a game is over.
Yep.
Here's what you do. So these were split between Turner and CBS last night. CBS is ratings dependent. Turner is not ratings dependent. It's cable. Their money's already in their back pocket. They
Yep.
got cable buy. They don't care about ratings, right? So you start the Turner games at 6:07. You start a Turner game at
Love it.
6:07.
Let's do 05 as a nod to the old TBS.
Perfect. I like that. A Turner game at 6:05, a CBS at 7:05, a Turner at 8:25 because none of these games are over in 2 hours. A Turner at 8:25 and a CBS at 9:15, 9:25, and you're out by 11:30, and it's
Wonderful.
done. The last game is done at 11:30.
It's pretty great.
I like that
That's
better.
it. Solved it.
I like that better. What I didn't like is it wouldn't even be possible to have watched the second half of Duke and Arizona.
I was bouncing.
You
so
have
I
to
was
bounce.
watching both. So I was,
Yeah.
or you do dual
Or
TVs.
2 TVs. Sure.
Is what you do.
That's right.
Interesting.
Second thing I want to say. Second
Interesting.
thing I want to say. Indeed. Second thing I want to say is next time we have somebody who owes us a great debt or we decide to go do a CBD.
A great many debts.
Yes, a great many debts like Simone did.
Yeah.
We go to Red at Pinecrest on the east side. That's where Kayla and I went last night for her birthday dinner. The chef there, one of the chefs, Dakota,
Yeah.
big CBD fan.
Oh, really?
And he put on a show for us like Top Chef where he started bringing things out that one thing that wasn't on the menu that was like this. It came out. I said, what is this, Top Chef? And he said, that's what the other chefs were asking me because he brought out something that had a cauliflower fried rice, these sesame ginger carrots, this lobster that was in some type of an Asian soy sauce, ponzu. I don't even know. It was the best lobster I've ever had. And then this avocado relish put on it, and it was one of the finest things ever. And it was just like, dude, I just love the show. So next time
We love you.
we go,
That's where
we'll go dial up Dakota because let me tell you something. He should be on Top Chef because that dish was one of the finest things I've ever
It's
had.
like our guy Chris Curran in Chicago.
That's right.
That
Your boy.
night out where he just
Your
kept
boy.
bringing out stuff for us.
Do they have TVs there, right?
Yes, in the bar. Absolutely.
yeah.
You're darn right. They do.
That's what you need. That's my. If at some point, an OFs, that's the blueprint.
There's nothing.
White tablecloth, big TVs, great steak. Enjoy.
There's nothing better than sitting at the bar. Like
Yeah, it's the best.
it's great
It's absolutely
with our homies, me, you, Gibbe,
all the people.
a Stevie to make sure everything's taken care of,
Oh, you
And
need
to
a
drive us
Stevie.
home.
and to drive us home,
Yep.
and then
Big
Dakota now bringing putting on
Bringing
a show.
it in. Yeah, I like it. I
That was
like where your head's at.
tremendous.
All right, good stuff. Still so much more to come. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused your injury. Call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. A reminder, our owners, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, will have a press conference live at 3 o'clock. You'll be able to hear it on the next level at the top of the hour. So we'll be cutting our show a little bit short so that time's up well. So you can have that in its entirety coming up at the top of the hour now. Give me one thing to order down there. I mean, this is it. This is my last 2 minutes.
One thing to order down in the
give me one thing. What's the one thing they're like?
Alcohol.
God,
That's it. Don't worry about anything else. Let the boys be boys and.
you got to have your fill of conch when you're down there. I mean,
that's where you're at.
That's the local.
That's my local thing.
Yeah, you get like a.
I don't know that I've had that.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
A conch chowder, a conch fritter.
yes.
I think
2
I've had
minutes,
conch
2 minutes.
chowder.
Conch chowder is quite a treat. But I mean, listen, you're going to be eating good food. There's good food there. When you go to Dune, the food is going to be elite.
When
Elite.
I got the I have the open table account, so I was getting like the reservations, and I was looking at the names of the places, and then I was cross-referencing menus, and I was thinking, I need to get another radio show.
I just want to see Bootsy order off the adult menu for you.
The crazy thing is I got to get him stretched up. It's really he's 46.
Please tell me that you've been having him hang in the closet. That's how
I'm
I
just
tried to get
banking on the
Tyler as a kid.
Crocs. I'm going to bank on the Crocs.
What you need to do, I'm going to give you, maybe you have a chance for him to be able to go on him with aqua socks and get an aqua sock, put a lift in it.
Oh, I like that idea. He does have an aqua sock. That might be even better than the
Crocs.
The Crocs, 'cause they'll-
make 'em
There's
take
no way
off.
they're going to let him
Safety
take
first.
a Croc, but there's a chance.
with an aqua sock lift. Now, can you get a lift big enough to give him what he needs? Because an aqua sock
2 inches? Yeah, of course. You put it in there, get a Dr. Scholl's insert.
I
Nice,
like it.
standing
I
on
like
top
God,
of the world.
He is he's your boy. He's your
my
bright
boy.
shining boy.
He
Both
is.
of your boy. He's going to thrive.
You're my boy, Blue.
All right, boys. Have a good week. The next level is coming up next.
You have a great week.
I
can't
think
wait
so.
to live vicariously through
I feel
your
like,
week.
yeah. Once
Once your
tires are off
Yeah.
ground,
what a treat.
that's where you're at.
What a treat it's going to be.
All right, we are back next weekend. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.